Hey guys, how's it going? Ricky with Tuba Da Vinci. Thank you so much for joining us today and taking some time out of your Saturday. Really appreciate all of you guys. We just have a little bit of a update for what we've been up to, all the progress and the show this last weekend and everything else. So thank you so much for joining us, and let's just jump right into it. So last week was Fully Charged Live, which is really important because obviously the Fully Charged team wants to do the US shows, and San Diego was their decision. And I wanted to make sure that it was a really good show. So there was a couple things. The first thing is the convention center where we had it was a little bit tricky. As a result of the fact that they were kind of tough to work with, I think some of the things were kind of challenging. The food selection wasn't great, but it was in downtown San Diego, which is awesome, obviously. So it was kind of a mixed bag, but the show was amazing. I actually met some of you guys there. I remember seeing Bong there. Dusty was there. I don't know if Dusty's in the live stream, but Dusty was out there, which was really cool. And we got to meet quite a few other people as well. So it was just a really good show overall. First year here in San Diego, and I'm hoping that the Fully Charged team does it here going forward. You know, in the past, it was in Austin, and the Austin show was really cool. And part of what made it so cool was the racetrack and the outdoor vibe. So next year, possibly we might be doing it at the Del Mar Fairgrounds, like a horse racetrack. And it's a very iconic place in San Diego, and it should be a lot of fun. More of an outdoor food festival and music kind of vibe. More San Diego. The convention center was just kind of, it was an amazing show. It was an amazing location in downtown, but it's a little more corporate feeling because you don't have the outdoor space. So should be fun. Thank you guys for joining. Looks like there's 29 of you guys on. So the Fully Charged show was kind of all encompassing. Like it just took so much of our time for pretty much an entire month. The team can kind of tell you we made quite a few episodes for the channel. So we did a video on the VinFast of Vietnam. We did an in-studio episode, kind of in our style, on if the U.S. grid can cope, both on the Fully Charged channel. And also we did an episode on the canoe. So Juan and I flew out to Dallas, Texas in the pouring rain, and we did a pretty cool episode on the canoe. So it's been a busy, busy month. We really wanted to just kind of, support the Fully Charged show and make it a success, and it was a blast. So now that that's over, it's kind of time to get back to work. Our video this last week was on Denmark's energy island. So that was a interesting kind of a mix. We didn't want to just keep doing batteries all the time. One of the things that we're going to strive to do is keep it fresh and cover different kinds of things. They're all going to be related, but whenever we can, we'll keep the topics kind of mixed up. So Denmark is building an island in the middle of the North Sea with the express intent of making it an energy hub to be able to export energy to other countries in Europe. And it's kind of a crazy idea. And I kind of was wondering, why build an island? We can do offshore wind today. We can build batteries today. Like, why is an island so important? So that's the video we have linked underneath. And a really quick shout out to Nvidia. So Matt Farrell, for all the vice versa fans out there, you're going to see Matt Farrell and I live together for the first time in over a year. So me, Matt Farrell from Undecided, and Alex, one of our other great friends from ticker symbol U, the three of us are going to host a live watch party for the Nvidia GTC show. It's going to be a really cool live show where they're going to showcase tons of their technologies. And one of the really interesting things that they're doing is building a digital twin of Earth. So, Nvidia is a supercomputing powerhouse, an AI powerhouse. They're some of the smartest people in the space. And they are building a digital twin of Earth with the express goal to model and predict future climate actions and some of the severity that is resulting from just climate change around the world and how we could better predict that. So our video, well, we haven't decided for sure, but our video, maybe we'll do a little poll. Let's do a little poll. I'll make a poll. So what video do you guys want to see next week? We have two options. One is a plastic battery. And the second is, why don't we pump water from areas of, that's too long. Pump water from floods to drought. Okay. So let's set a poll up here. Sorry, I was chatting as I was typing. Hopefully I didn't misspell too many things, but all right. So there's a little poll. The polyjoule plastic battery video is the one that we have recorded and ready to rock, but we are also looking at this video User said, is it a premiere? No, this is just a live show. So the question that I've been asking myself is, we have areas with floods where, reservoirs overflow, dams overflow. They're forced to just pump out water. And as a result, it could cause a lot of damage to communities. And all that water just makes its way through tributaries and rivers back into the ocean unutilized, right? So we had this free water from the sky that we're not capitalizing on. And then here in San Diego, we're sitting here with drought where we have water shortages. So what if we just pumped water from areas of flood to areas of drought? That's kind of the premise. There's quite a bit of research, and we think that could be a fun one. I'm really curious how the results of that poll turn out. Let's see is it. Yeah, so far that video is winning out. There's like a typhoon hitting Japan. My wife just told me there's like a once in 100-year storm hitting Alaska. The severity of storms and things are one of the reasons why I cover this and I talk about this on my channel. Is it's been clear to me that this is stuff that we need to take actions toward fixing today. So we'll see how that poll runs. But it is possible because we can probably finish the video script today and record it. And if Juan is down for the challenge, because it's a bit of a longer video, like 18 minutes or so. So it's almost like 2 videos, right? But if you're down for the challenge, we can all jump in. We could make that video happen next week. And I think it would be very timely. I got the idea because we made a video on desalination and it's done really well. I think it has, last time I checked, over 2 million views, which is really high for us. And I think it just goes to show that people are thinking about this and this is on people's minds. And I want you guys to know I'm thinking about it too. So that is the previous video. Next week's video, the Fully Charged Show was awesome. Now let's switch gears and talk about our Net Zero Home series. One thing I was telling Juan and the team is a lot of people came up and talked to me at Fully Charged, which was amazing. I've never talked more in a 2-day period in my whole life. I feel like I never shut up. My mouth was moving for 48 hours straight. But a lot of people came up to me and talked to me. And the overwhelming consensus is people were excited about the Net Zero Build series. Very few people came up to me and said, hey, I watched one of your normal videos. There were some people, but the Net Zero was what everybody was talking about. So that is a top priority for us. We've had to shelve it for about a month and a half while we did the Fully Charged stuff, but we're back, baby. And it's going to be a lot of really cool stuff coming up. In fact, I think, if the water wasn't challenging enough, Juan, could we also publish the Ford F-150 solar video on Tuesday? The impossible. That's what we do here at Tuba Da Vinci. So Juan and I went out to Yuma, Arizona 2 weeks ago, something like that, to pick up some solar panels. So what we're working on is, I hear a lot of the comments about like, hey, I think solar is really cool, but I can't afford it. And I completely understand. Currently, prices are about $3 a watt. So we want to install a 10 kilowatt system. We're talking $30,000 to install. It's a ton of money. That's like student loan debt. That's a lot of money. That's like a car. Arguably, I think going solar might be better than buying a new car. Like if you're thinking about buying a new car and you have an old car and you could keep it, going solar would probably be the smarter option, especially because then you'd be preparing yourself for a future with an EV in it. But we understand that solar is expensive. So what we've been looking at, and I've been obsessing about this, is I've been like a mad scientist in my lab trying to find out like how could we bring prices down for our viewers, even if we can't affect the entire industry. So the first point was, the solar panel price, right? In a 10 kilowatt system, what would the solar cost? About a third, actually. So I got 410 watt panels. Now, if I had bought those new, just retail like you would if you went with a company, you would have paid about $12,000 for the 29 panels that I got. But we paid $5,600, like about half. And the reason why is because we bought them used from a company that we found and we reached out to, and we've been negotiating with them saying, could you offer a further discount to our viewers? So we are inking the deal. It's an ink deal, but they're working on some affiliate link stuff. So we will, as soon as it's ready, we'll put it in every video we make. But the company is called Solar Steels. And they're a really cool company that buys used panels when they get decommissioned for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's as simple as somebody installed them and then new ownership comes in. They don't want to pay the loan, and so they take them all down. They get upgraded, whatever the case might be. Solar panels last for decades, and they only deal with like really high quality panels that they've checked. So 410 watt panels for half the price of what I would have paid for new panels. Really cool stuff. And that's one of the first ways, right? So that's 5-6 grand right there off the top. So now a 10 kilowatt system, we brought it down 24,000. Cool. What else can we do? Well, the next step would be the inverter, and we're working with a company on that too. We've signed a deal with a good discount for you guys. It's a microinverter company called Hoy Miles. I'll share that more with you. But we're in the process of getting our stuff ready to ship. So the panels are sitting here. We're getting the inverters pretty soon, and we found a local installer. So anybody who lives in San Diego, if you live in San Diego and you need an EV charger, you're looking at going solar or upgrading your panel, any electrical work, reach out to me. Kevin, he runs a company called Go EV San Diego. He is absolutely amazing. I got a chance to meet with him at the show. He ran a booth, so a lot of people met him there. But he does amazing stuff. He's a huge installer. He does a lot of the bigger installations of EV charging networks at dealerships, for example, and other big companies. But the guy is he's a ball of energy, and he's amazing. So we're going to work with him on some of this stuff, and we'll put links to all these things as we go forward. So, getting good installers who maybe will work with you if you go and buy your own gear, inverters, solar panels that are used. We're trying to bring the price of solar like half off. That's my goal, right? It was kind of an Elon Musk moment. I sat there and I said, okay, $30,000 is a lot. How can we cut that in half? And so that's what I've been thinking about. We're also building a website to bring all this together. That's still in progress. It's a ways away, but hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll bring all this together. But until we do, at least we can share parts with you. And if you don't want used panels, don't buy used panels. Go buy them new. If you want to just save on the inverter, or you want to save whatever, it's going to be a pick and choose type of situation. You don't have to go with everything. But we're hoping that we can really get set up to make solar a lot cheaper for you guys. So Juan and I got a Ford F-150 Lightning from Ford. We called Ford and like, hey, we want to go pick up some solar panels in Yuma. You have a truck available? And they were super awesome, and they dropped one off for us for about 2 days. Well, the first day we didn't really do much. The next day we grabbed it and we went out to Yuma. The truck was just a delight. It was 29 panels on a pallet. It fit on the truck. That video will be coming out Tuesday. I think we're committed to it, one. And 1,500 pounds hauling in the bed. I could barely even tell I was hauling. Really, the biggest difference was I could hear some of the wind noise, like the wind coming off of the panels, because it's a lot less aerodynamic. And we have some final numbers of all the range, the change in range from driving there with nothing in the truck versus on the way back with the panels. We have all that stuff to share on Tuesday. So Tuesday's video is kind of a combination of how does the F-150 do when you're hauling stuff? 1,500 pounds is a lot. And two, this company that is, building warehouses and distribution centers on both coasts here in the U.S. to make buying solar used panels a lot more affordable. So that video is coming out Tuesday, and I'm going to meet with Kevin later today for the solar installation. Also, we are installing a span smart meter, which is probably the biggest starting point. If you guys have noticed, I've been talking about heat pump water heaters, heat pump clothes dryers, but I haven't done any of it yet. And part of the reason is if I did, how would I even know the impact, right? So I'm waiting for the span smart meter, which will be able to monitor every single circuit in our house individually and tell us exactly what's happening. So I have, previous bills of all my natural gas use. And as I, convert that over to electric, I'll have actual data and I can show tons of stuff. So Span is a company I've been waiting to work with and install for over a year now. I told them I'm not ready yet at my previous house because I thought I might move. I'm very glad I did. And so now we're ready. The meter, it's sitting here. Kevin from Go EV San Diego will be the one installing it, hopefully next week. So that video might be, if we're on schedule, the following week. It's a little bit tricky because we're ambitious, I think is the word. We've also gutted the garage and we're completely renovating it. And the reason is we do a lot of woodworking and home projects, but our new house, the garage was just not very well tailored. We had stuff littered on the ground. There wasn't enough storage. So Juan came up with a design. I wish we could play it. No way we could play it? We'll add it. So Juan came up with a design for an entire gorgeous garage remodel, and we're building custom cabinets from scratch. So those are the videos that we're going to be coming out with on the home series. So for the next month, home series is going to be possibly installing solar, but that might take a while. Span installation, all the data along with that. Building our garage, which will be the kitchen is kind of the heart of the house, but the garage is the heart of home improvement. All of our tools, we have a ton of tools, table saws, all that stuff has to fit and work. And so I'm really excited to have the garage of my dreams. Really, it was kind of spare no expense. We thought about just buying off the shelf cabinets, but Juan wasn't happy with any of it. It wasn't exactly the right size and perfect for us. So we're building it all from scratch. Wish we could. Are you able to share? Maybe. Okay. Well, you have to dial in too. I can let you in if you want to share.
I can just do 8:10.
Okay, cool. So Juan's working on that. We might have some stuff we can share with you about all of that. So there's a ton of stuff coming up. It's going to be electricity based, smart meter. Speaking of smart meters, we have a super chat from Robert. Thank you so much, Robert, for your super chat. He says, "Hey Ricky, any idea if there is a span for Europe too?" So I chatted with them recently, and I think they have plans. Right now, they're just pumping them out here in the U.S., but they do have a Europe plan in mind. And I can also investigate a little bit and see if there are other competitors that make what Span does. But man, Span is a really cool company. You always want to hitch your horse to the companies that are doing big things in the future. And so Robert will double check, but I don't think they are right now. But Span's doing really cool stuff with all sorts of things. They have an EV charger. So currently we're not charging at home. We're charging at superchargers with our Tesla. But as soon as they come out with their charger, I'm waiting for that. And the reason is when we go solar, the Span will understand your entire house, right? It'll know, okay, you have a car plugged in and you have solar. So the air conditioning is off, the pool's off, whatever. Go dump all that energy you're producing, if it's at a cheap time of the day, into the car. And then as soon as like an air conditioner kicks on or some electricity starts being used, it can taper that down. And you have 10 kilowatts of solar generation, your 5 kilowatt AC turns on. Well, just charge your car with the remaining 5. And the sun's going down, just keep tapering it. But for a net zero house, a Span is super critical. I think it's going to be amazingly awesome. So we're really excited about that, and that'll be coming soon. Ready to share? All right, Juan's gonna flip over, and let's take a look. All right, so here is Juan modeled this in Blender, and we are looking at the garage this is the garage of our dreams. The left side here with the water heater and the furnace is going to be the last thing we do. We'll probably tackle that at the end. But what we want to focus on is this wall. So top, ceiling to floor, cabinets on the back of the garage, and then workspace, countertop area. That's going to be, 14 feet or something of countertop area where we can put things down and work on stuff. And just tons and tons of storage. So yeah, that's a look. When Juan rendered this for me, I was like, all right, let's go build this. And that has been on hold for about a week, but we're gonna pick that back up here shortly. So garage renovation, Span, and solar is all coming up. Another really cool thing that I think you guys are gonna be really keen on is Nvidia's event. So the GTC event, the live stream, is on Thursday. So let me get a link to that. Once you guys are, I think it's, let me just confirm. Yep, that's it. So if you guys are able to come join us for our live stream, it's, maybe I need to put the HTTPS in front of it. Let's do that again. Okay. So if you guys are able to join, I'd love to see you. Let Nvidia know that they picked the right guy for this. I would love to just work with Nvidia in the future. They've been really kind with their time. So for our video for pumping water from areas of flood to drought, for that video, Karthik, who will be giving this talk, agreed to just come on and have a little interview with us and talk about Earth 2, their digital twin of Earth. So Nvidia is one of those companies I just freaking love. Andy's on. What's up, Andy? Andy is one of the members of the Fully Charged team. It's got to be late over there, I'd imagine. He's up late. Actually, it's not so bad. But yeah, Andy and Jack from the Fully Charged team, if you watch the Fully Charged car episodes, Jack is the presenter. Andy does all the camera work. He's been teaching us, Juan and I. We've just had a blast. We hung out for a week back in July, where he kind of, we spent a week here in San Diego, and we had a chance to hang out at the show as well. Now, it was Absolute pleasure, Andy. So glad you could join. Let's see here. So Bong says, can you also co-tandem the charging of the EcoFlow with SPAN? So the SPAN is not going to be aware of the EcoFlow. So the office that we're in right now is running on EcoFlow batteries. So we're off grid already, partially. But the SPAN won't know that. So to SPAN, it'll just be like, oh, there's this circuit that uses almost no energy. And then if the battery does run out and we have to pull from the grid, then the SPAN would notice that and say, okay, you're pulling from the grid. But we can still do some automations around that. So I think I'm curious about that. And one thing I like to do is connect companies together and help them to integrate better. So whoever we decide to go with for batteries, we're still kind of looking and kind of, in the exploration phase. But we're trying to connect them with SPAN and making sure that these companies all work together. That's really the key. Like we mentioned about the car charging. If you can connect these systems together, the benefits are just wildly cool. So Guillote says, you don't need a SPAN panel in a net zero home. Maybe not. Maybe not. But we have hugely ambitious plans where we're going to be producing our own water. So one of my ideas is to create a heat pump pool heating system where it heats our pool with a heat pump. And on the cold air side, we could run it through and condense water out of it, for example, right? Now, when would I run that? Well, I could program the SPAN to understand when our excess energy needs are and to turn those on and off. So you don't need anything to have a net zero house. You don't have to have any monitoring, I guess, but it's going to be very helpful. And our ambitions are pretty massive. We have 2 houses that we want to run. So yeah, it's going to be cool. Jake says, you're going to review Delta 2. Yes, we have Delta 2 batteries sitting in the house. We haven't really messed with yet, but we love the EcoFlow gear. And what's really cool about the Delta 2 is they're about 1 kilowatt hour each. So we have the main battery and a smart additional battery, which would just be way easier to take with us if we go, like Juan will take his one wheel out and go riding or something. If we're going to take a car and get some footage or fly a drone. Sometimes the massive Delta Pros are just 100 pounds. I mean, they're just very hard to move around. So it'd be cool to just take this battery out. So that review comes out maybe in 2 weeks. It's not a review, it's just an integration, but it'll be coming out in a couple weeks, yeah. So Bong says about the SPAN. So the SPAN does work with 2 batteries right now completely. It's Tesla's Powerwall, and I think it's a Solar Edge battery. But they're going to keep adding more to that. But if you have a Powerwall, SPAN and Powerwall work together flawlessly. So it would know if the power went out. It could do a virtual tripping of circuits that aren't critical to keep the battery from just running out too quickly, right? If your AC was on and the power goes out, you don't want the AC running because it'll deplete the battery in like 2 hours. So SPAN can take care of all that kind of stuff. It's pretty amazing stuff. I'm excited. I've been wanting to do that for the longest time. Sonnen, I think, is the name of the battery. Thank you, Bong. I appreciate that. So yes, net zero is coming along. We have a lot of plans to kick this into high gear. As soon as we have the SPAN and hopefully solar, the next thing I would do is a heat pump water heater, because we still have an old water heater that is natural gas, and so that's an easy one for about $1,800 or so. Juan and I will probably do the installation ourselves. We can keep that cost pretty affordable, and with natural gas prices the way they are, the return on investment period would be pretty small. So if you guys have recommendations for companies, let me know, and we can try to do some shopping and make sure we get a good one. But right now I'm just thinking about one of the ones at Home Depot because it would just be easy to get to. Save thousands on your smart panel and get more solar panels. So we're not doing either or. We're going to get a ton of solar panels and we're going to get the smart panel. I think Guillote doesn't need a SPAN, and you shouldn't get one if you don't need one. It's not necessary, definitely. There's other ways around it. But one of the cool things about a SPAN is you don't need a critical loads panel. So if the power goes out, you have to, and if you didn't know and you have a Tesla Powerwall or something, you might be running high drain appliances and you might run that battery down sooner. With a smart panel like SPAN, you could create a kind of a soft circuit where when the power goes out, turn these things off. Don't even let them pull to maximize battery range. But if it comes down to money, I agree with him probably. Yeah, if you want to get more panels, get more panels. Definitely makes sense. So how are you guys doing? Let's see. What are some of the comments and stuff? Yeah, Bong says it'll look good with the garage upgrade. E- Completely. We're going to be in the garage a lot, as you can imagine, for our Net Zero series. So why not why not look into it and invest in it? So Robert says, you are lucky just reviewing Swiss offers for solar systems. Suddenly your metal roof seems cheap. So Robert lives in Switzerland, which is one of the most expensive places in the world, really. It's one of the few places that makes San Diego seem affordable. And it's everything. So yeah, I'd love to know your numbers, or you can message me personally, but I'm sorry to hear it. Hopefully you have some kind of DIY options, or some other clever ways you can save some money, but I know it's expensive. Um, so Bong says that Reem has a 120 volt water heater, which is exactly what I'm thinking. So he's thinking the same way I am. I would love to find a 120 volt system so I don't have to run a new 240 line to it. I could just plug it into where it is now, which is exactly what I was thinking to do. So, yep, Bong, you read my mind. Um, some of the things to think about really when it comes to going net zero is understanding what things you can do together. Like, what's a logical grouping of projects to do? So if you're going to be in your garage and you're getting an electrician to install a car charger, and he's ripping drywall or doing things, that might be a good time to potentially run a new circuit if you need to for a water heater, or whatever else might come your way. One of the other interesting things about a heat pump clothes dryer is our current vent. We have a natural gas clothes dryer, and the vent is just too long. It's like 100 feet. So the back pressure is too high and we can't use it. We have to run a duct out the door right now. It's very, haphazard. But if we go with a heat pump system, we wouldn't need to vent at all. All the water would just collect and we could just drop it on plants or something and water the yard. So that's one of the side benefits of going that route. But it's exciting. There's going to be a lot of little projects coming up. One thing we still need to do I don't even know where the box is anymore. We need to install the smart sprinkler, because currently I'm running around turning on the sprinkling systems and stuff. So we got to trench some sprinkler wire and run it to a head unit and automate that. And the one that we got is smart, so it knows if it's going to rain and it won't run your irrigation system. So that's something we need to do. What else do we have sitting around? We have to do a little bit of a network upgrade. So if we talk about the utilities that run into your house, water, sewer runs out of your house, electricity, natural gas. One of the ones that actually in a previous live stream somebody mentioned is internet. So our internet provider is Cox, and we've had a lot of issues with them. So when I first moved into this area in 2009, it was amazing. Cox was great. It was an older community where I live, and people weren't streaming Netflix 24 hours a day on 10 different devices. But in the years since then, it's become increasingly very problematic. Our speeds kind of dwindle. It's unpredictable. Sometimes around 7 or 8 p.m. at night when everyone's home watching Netflix, the speeds just become unwatchable. So we got a T-Mobile home internet router. It's just a 5G home internet plan. It's $50 a month. It's a no-brainer. And now we kind of, thanks to Bong, he recommended that we get a bonding router so we can kind of bond the two connections together. And T-Mobile's vastly faster. So we were getting about 20 megabits per second upload. So the upload is our biggest problem because all the editors use Dropbox, and so all of our projects and footage is synced and across the cloud. And upload speeds were always a major pain. But T-Mobile was cool. We built this little custom enclosure made out of plexiglass to not block the signal, and we mounted it up high on my upstairs patio off our master bedroom to get the strongest signal, because we live on a hill and we were actually not qualified to actually get the router because T-Mobile only gives it out to people who have really strong connections, and we didn't qualify. So I just gave our business address, got one, and we're making it work. We're getting 4 out of 5 bars, pretty good. And the next thing is we got some Ubiquiti networking gear. It's sitting here in a box. We just have not had time to get it out and wire everything up. But we really need to improve on our network reliability, because there's just currently, it's 2 houses and it's kind of a long house, and it's okay. It's pretty good, but it could definitely be better. Sandy says, hi from Norway. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Norway sounds amazing. We've been thinking we need to get up there. After making that Denmark video, I was thinking we just do like a Scandinavian tour. I used to go to Finland a lot when I was an aerospace engineer back 10 years ago, and I've never been to Norway. But I actually have a friend who lives there, and it's on my list for sure. So what else is happening around here? Oh, I don't know if I invited him to join the live stream, but there's a little bit of news around our team. We've had a writer named Matt who's been helping us with writing for a couple of years, and he's been amazing. I mean, we wouldn't have gotten to where we are without him. But we're really excited that we have a new writer named Israel that we just met. He's a chemistry professor, so his background is just incredible. And I'm not sure if he's in the chat or not, but we're really excited to, one of the things I obsess about is just leveling up every part of our production, starting with topic selection. I think we're getting a little better at that maybe. And then it comes down to the research and the writing, and that stuff right now involved me a lot. So I'm hoping to better just provide outlines and ideas and drafts and have the writing team in Israel really take charge of that whole process. And our video team has just been making huge strides. I've been largely hands-off. Juan and Alejandra and Bream have been doing a lot of work with Apple Motion, which is one of our secret weapons, I think, to making better content. You guys have probably noticed we have a lot more animations, infographics, things to really explain complicated topics, right? So yeah, new team members. Generally, we're doing pretty well. You guys will be happy to know we're hitting about 3 million views a month, which is amazing. I mean, just 3 months ago, we were at 1 million, 1.2, something like that. So we're really seeing some progress, and it's all thanks to you guys who tune in. And I want all of you to know that we are a community. If the poll, based on the poll, interestingly, the poll, so 20 minutes in, 50 people have voted. By the way, there's a poll up there if you want to chime in. I thought it'd be a runaway answer, but look at that. It's 47-53, kind of a split. So, maybe we can just go plastic battery this week and we'll go drop next week. Maybe we don't have to rush it, but very interesting. Your guys' comments and your vote will determine what we do. And what I really want to do is do more polls with our Discord community. If you guys haven't joined, I recognize a lot of you guys. Robert is on there, Bong is on there. If you guys join our Discord, we'll try to get more involvement with you guys and pick topics that are of interest. And what I would love you guys to do is go, hey, how about this? I have a question. I heard about this article, and bring stuff to us and we'll try to cover it, because that's one of the level ups we want to make, is be better suited to understanding all of you. And that's why I do these live streams, right? This is Saturday. There are no days off for an entrepreneur and for a YouTuber, but I look forward to this chat because I want to better understand what you guys are thinking about. So there's some greetings. So Cindy says, hi from Mannheim, Germany. What's up, Cindy? How's it going? Amazing. One of our friends, Kyle Connor, who does out-of-spec motoring, was in Germany recently, and I was watching some of his videos driving a Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo around. And I was just thinking, I want to go to Germany so bad. I've only flown through it. I've flown through Frankfurt, Main Airport probably 12 times, but yeah, high on my list. Thanks for joining. Robert says, yeah, your infographic game is quite good these days. Congrats. Thank you, Robert. I think the last couple of weeks, especially, Juan is like all into motion now. We got to balance Blender so that if you watch that garage render that he just showed you, that is the hardcore part. That video, correct me if I'm wrong, it took 2 minutes per frame, right, to render? Like a minute or 2 minutes a frame. And there's 30 frames in 1 second. So Blender is crazy expensive. That's why we love Nvidia. We actually have 2 computers with 3090 graphics cards. We have another one with a 3080 Ti. Can you hand me that box real quick? That one right there. And we also have a laptop with a 3080. So we have 4 Nvidia computers that we use to make some of the stuff that you guys see. And we're going to hope to have even more Blender. I think Blender is really hard to pull off on a weekly schedule. If we made videos once a month, we might do almost entirely in Blender, but we can't afford to do that. But yeah, so If you join the link that I have pinned, I think it's still pinned. Do you see that pinned comment? Yes. So the Nvidia link, thank you. The Nvidia link that we have pinned is for their GTC live show. Me, Matt Farrell from Undecided, Alex Dixon, we're all going to be hosting it. It's going to be a live watch party. Come hang out with us and hear about their incredible stuff. You know, we use AI and machine learning in so many different ways, but I've never heard of a more amazing application than what they're doing with the Earth 2 digital twin program. And if you come and join us there, we're going to be giving away this. This is an RTX 3080 Ti, and we're going to give this away to one of our viewers. So come hop on, hang out with us. It's free to join. Come see me and Matt Farrell. We haven't been together on a live stream in a long time. I need to get Matt in some of our videos coming up. But hopefully you guys can join us there. I would love to hang out with you and talk about that, because I'd love for your guys' input to hear what you guys think, and maybe that could become future video ideas in the future. Wiley Coyote says, hi from Canada's Mexico, Minnesota. I have never heard it put it that way, but that's where Dusty, wow, I didn't know that, but Dusty's from there as well. So maybe I need to come out there and chat with all of you guys. Airborne says, is bidirectional EV charging ever coming? So, I always say the hardest things are not engineering problems. My faith in engineers and scientists is 100%. Like, I have 100% confidence in them. These sorts of things come from like the lawyers, basically, right? The bidirectionality is not a hard challenge from a technical standpoint. We can make it happen. It just comes down to approvals. Maybe grids require approvals, or regulatory, agencies, and also companies have to support it. So, Tesla famously has not, which is one of my least favorite things about Tesla. My least favorite things about Tesla are all their price hikes, and the second thing is their stance on not supporting bidirectionality. Because I have a 75 kilowatt-hour car sitting here, and if the power went out, and this is true for a lot of people, it's like the ultimate EV flex, is if you could power your house with it. But you'd be powering your car, you'd be running charge and discharge cycles on a car that's not getting any miles. So from Tesla's perspective, they're like, okay, we have to honor your warranty while you're using up our battery and not going anywhere. So most of the warranties are mileage based. That might be one of the big things, but companies are doing it. Bong has mentioned the F-150 is bidirectional, and it is incredible. The Ford Lightning, the bigger max pack with the Pro Power on board, can output 9 kilowatts of power. That's your entire house. That's your AC, everything. And it can do so for a long time. And Hyundai, I think, does as well. So it's coming. What it'll come down to, like everything, is competition. If there's EVs that offer this feature and more people are flocking to that, that is what it would take, right? I mean, Tesla's just selling every car they make for months out. They have been for a long time. So they don't have to change anything. So hopefully they come around to that. But I think it will come, and I think it'll come the next year or two. And it's these kinds of stories about flood. There were floods in Kentucky where an F-150 Lightning was running a shelter, keeping people alive, right, during this storm. Incredible stuff. Like the power of bidirectional EV, vehicle to grid, vehicle to load is immense. So it's coming for sure. And Airborne, I'm with you. I'm excited, man. I think bidirectionality is one of those killer features. Whenever people talk about cars or EVs, being a strain on the grid, I always go the other way around. Like, no, the opposite. If we had bidirectionality, they'd be a grid's best friend. Let me know if any comments pop up. Easiest way to get a comment that I'll see is a super chat, which Robert has done. I appreciate you, Robert, for that. It pops up in my queue, but I'm trying to scroll here. David Holmes says, I suspect Tesla could have done bidirectional charging for emergency use only. Similar to the storm mode and Powerwall. I was thinking the exact same thing, David. You read my mind. If they don't want to support you just saving money on your electric bills every day, day and night, well, have a storm mode. Have a system where cars and regions could allow bidirectionality in the event that there's a storm, there's a hurricane, there's some sort of disaster, there's wildfires, right? I think that would be huge. And the degradation to do that for a week or something, if there was a big storm, is nothing. And it would be life-changing, right? And game-changing and life-saving. So Yeah. Sali Baba says, here in the UK, I've been offered a vehicle to house kit from Indra for my Leaf, and it's 1,600 pounds cheaper than any extra DC battery for my grid power. So that's interesting. How big is the Leaf battery pack? I'm kind of curious about that. But yeah, a vehicle to home kit is really just kind of an inverter and a little bit of maybe like a shut off to the circuit, to the grid, so you're not backfeeding power and just powering your local loads and stuff. So it's not particularly complicated, and I'm glad to hear that people are selling kits like that. That would be huge. Yeah. So Neil Grieve, this is for you, Juan. Neil says Unreal Engine real-time rendering will save you lots of time. So Nvidia has tons of ray tracing optimizations and stuff with their RTX cards. One of the things that we could do is Unreal Engine real-time rendering. So Neil, what program would you use for that? Because we use Blender currently. That's our kind of go-to app. And they have an Unreal Engine render option? I don't think I've heard of one. It is not as pretty as true, Nvidia cycles. Blender cycles, but it is dang close. And you're right, it would be killer. We could render things in seconds instead of minutes, right? So we should look into that. But Neil, if you know a way that we could use Unreal, or what platform we would have to use, let us know. I'm not trying to, buy some really expensive software. I like Blender, but what? It's free. Is it? But how do you model and how do you animate? And it's a whole new thing to learn, but maybe we'll do it. Yeah. So Robert says, if mileage is a problem, the car can for sure calculate virtual miles for the warranty. Robert, yeah, these are not hard problems. They're really not. There's no reason we can't have any of this stuff. It's not technical. If you sat down engineers and said, make this happen, 2 days, it'd be done. This is not a technical problem. It comes down to more business models, and the bean counters and the lawyers are the bigger challenge here. in a lot of ways, they are. So 40 kilowatt hour battery in the Leaf, that's pretty sizable for sure. And if you're just using like the middle 10 kilowatts every day, yeah, the degradation to the battery would be pretty minimal. So Neil says Blender links directly to Unreal. I think Neil, you need to put your email in the chat. Juan is going to drop his email in the chat. I think the two of you should connect, and you should let him know how that all works, because I'm interested in that. What we wonder and what we think about is, how do we make better stuff for you every week, right? That's the number one milestone. Now, if we could get 2 million views every video, then we can make a video every other week, and we could spend 2 weeks on it and make them even better. But right now we're not there. So for us to make payroll and pay all the bills, we're at a weekly schedule. So now, with that in mind, how can we get better writing and research? I think we're on the right track there with Israel, who's going to be amazing. How do we do better visuals? How do we build the team? How do we publish? How do we do, better and better? So that is my job really as a CEO, is to think about that. So those are the things that I try to focus on. Really quick, Robert, definitely, Neil, join the Discord. I think we'd really appreciate you. So any football fans? I don't know if there's any football fans in here, but football season's back in full swing. So that's Sundays. Hopefully I take a little bit of time off to enjoy that. But thanks to some of the things that we've been up to lately, I am finding that I have a little bit more free time than I did in the past. I, maybe not quite a day off, but almost, a day where I work very little. A lot of what I have to do now is just kind of find these companies. So if you guys have, you've heard of a company, like in the past, I remember DIY or DIY Cool, or there was like a DIY pre-charged HVAC system, like a ductless heater AC system that some of you guys recommended I reach out to, or I go by. If you guys have great recommendations on products or companies that you've heard of or you have experience with, even better, let us know. Because I spend a lot of my time just trying to find cool companies that I could, try to go figure out if their product would work for me in my net zero house. And if you guys find cool stuff, we can get on that. So Technophile says, FYI, sounds like Technology Connections, an amazing YouTube channel, is working on a video like you mentioned on apartment electrical panels. Interesting. Apartment electrical panels. Cool. That is really, really cool. So Ja Hoff says, really enjoy your attitude and kindness, realism and optimism in relation to tech. Really appreciate that. I'm telling you guys, never in human history have so many smart people been working on amazing things, right? I tell this story all the time. I graduated from college in 2006. When I graduated from college, a third of the companies that were at the career fair, right? I was a mechanical engineer, were oil companies. It was Texaco and Chevron and, BP, and it was these kinds of companies. And so the great, brilliant engineers, scientists, right, 20 years ago, they went to go work for BP. And today, the world is so different. There, like every new startup I ever hear about, it's never oil or it's always sustainability focused. And so now the brilliant people graduating in chemistry or physics or engineering or math, whatever, in 2022, 2025, in the next coming years, they're going to go work at companies that are going to do really cool stuff. And you guys know I'm a hardcore capitalist. I think when money and talent goes in that direction, we're going to win automatically. I think that is much more valuable. If we can find new breakthroughs or new ideas that can bring the price of some of this stuff down, if my energy website can bring the price of solar down to $2 a watt or even less, maybe we'll see. Well, we'll pick over. We'll switch over. Much more valuable than mandates and things is that. There was a story. I should probably bring this up. There was a story that Gavin Newsom came out and said that California is going to ban gas cars in 2035. And, people think it's such a cool move, or people were talking about how it was a big move. And then the California utilities and the commissions had to come back and kind of walk it back a little and say, don't charge big appliances, including EVs. Not just EVs. They were talking about ACs, heat pumps, water heaters, anything. Don't run big appliances between 4 and 9 because California had a major heat wave. It's over now, but for about 2 weeks, here in San Diego, it's never hot at night. By about 8 o'clock at night, open your windows and it's cool. That is true for 348 days out of the year. But for about 2 weeks, it was hot. It was really hot here in San Diego. And during that time, ACs are running all the time. And so they were predicting problems. To be fair, nothing bad happened. We had no power outages. They managed it just fine. But they were saying don't charge stuff. And this became this political talking point, which I hate, because the entire reason for banning gas cars is because they've had a huge impact on our climate. We're burning and putting carbon dioxide into the air, and not just carbon dioxide, a bunch of other stuff. All the NOxes, nitrous oxides, all these harmful, horrible things. And as a result, our weather is getting worse and worse. So the answer to that is EVs, and we need 15 years to roll it out, but we have this problem. It's such a stupid talking point. It bugs me a lot, but I don't worry about it too much or think about it too much because I don't think you need Gavin Newsom, a politician sitting in some office somewhere mandating these things for them to come true. All you need to do is build a killer EV. What we need to do is figure out battery supply and make it easier and cheaper to build electric cars. Electric cars are really quickly crossing parity in terms of cost. The only challenge left is battery supply. And this is why you guys know I obsess about batteries. I think about batteries for hours and hours every day. Because if we can find new clever chemistries, or we stop building power walls out of nickel and lithium, which we're doing today, it makes no sense. The power wall it just doesn't make any sense what we're doing. We need to switch over stationary storage to different kinds of batteries and preserve all of that lithium, the higher density chemistries, for moving applications, right? Like consumer cars or buses or whatever. I'm not totally against hydrogen either. I haven't heard of a great use case for it yet, but I always say, hey, maybe some scientists in some lab tomorrow will break through something that makes it change. So I look at the future of industry. I look at the future of companies and engineers and scientists, and I think our future is going to be awesome, guys. Like, we have a ton of reason to be excited. The doom and gloom I've never cared for. People keep saying that that we need to, or it's already too late. BS. It's not too late. We can turn this stuff around, and it'll just It'll just start with little steps. A lot of you guys probably have already done some of these things. I'm going to have a little fun with polls, Ron. Can I make another poll, or do I have to end the first one? I think I have to end the first one. So end poll. So the cool news is the plastic battery and the flood video, 50-50, 70 votes, not bad. Let's do another one, okay? I have an EV, okay? How many of you guys have electric cars? I'm really curious, right? Oops, no, not an option. Other. Sorry, I hit the add option button and now I can't delete it. So I just put an other category. All right, next poll. If you guys have electric cars, you're supporting companies that are doing the right things. It doesn't matter what company. If you have a Tesla, you're supporting the company that started all of it, right? You should be proud of yourself. That funding that they take from your car is what funds future gigafactories and everything else. If you bought a Ford Lightning, you bought an ID4, you're giving a signal to these companies, this is what you should make, right? That's how you start. Everything in business in our world really kind of comes down to economics and the market, right? You can ban whatever you want. It doesn't really matter, because if you ban gas cars, that's new gas cars. You know what'll happen if EVs don't get there? If EVs aren't great and we don't have a lot of options, people will take their old gas cars and buy a crate motor and just keep them on the road and keep them running. Bans and things won't solve anything. And they're not as important as you think. The key is making EVs better, and they are. They're already better. One frustrating thing I have is I was looking for maybe upgrading my car, and my wife really wants a third row Model Y. And the reason is we can put our kids in the back and have 5 adults and have 7 people overall, which my Model 3 just can't do. Tesla has just cranked their prices up so high. It really bugs me. But they're anything but cheap. I mean, a Model Y is starting at almost 70 grand, which is, who can afford that, right? Very few people. So my frustration is I'm looking for a third row SUV, and I don't want a gas car. There's a ton of gas cars I could get for half that price, but I don't want one because I know I have to go back to doing oil changes, and I have to go back to filling up gasoline, and gasoline is really expensive here. So I've just been spoiled. I can't go back. But the problem is there just aren't that many choices, right? For a third row SUV, that's an electric car. Currently on the market today, you have a Rivian R1S, which if I bought it today, I would get it a year and a half from now. A year and a half from now, right? Model X, which costs $120,000. Is there anything else? The Model Y, which is tiny. It can't replace my Honda Pilot, unfortunately, right? The
Rivian R1S?
Yeah, so that I mentioned that one. So that's a year and a half away. If I bought it today, I'd get it in a year and a half. And honestly, it could be 2 years, right? It's just a weird time. And that's what we need to figure out. We just need to, like the politicians and stuff, do whatever you do. I'm not sure, but we got to make battery supplies more sustainable. Now, you and I you might not feel like, what can I do about battery supply, right? That's not easy. But what you can do is vote with your dollars. Buy a heat pump furnace or a water heater, right? If you do that, and then Rheem, suddenly their next quarterly earnings call, Rheem comes out and says, our heat pump water heaters are up 400% quarter over quarter, and the natural gas stuff is plummeting. Guess what they'll do? They're a business. They will follow the money, right? But what we need to do is we control the indicators. We can control the signal that these companies will use. No one's going to make a product that isn't profitable. They don't care if it's natural gas or heat pump. They care about making money. So it's up to us to make that vote, right? Maybe, for example, I've been waiting on the heat pump water heater because I was waiting to get solar first. But maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just say, you know what? I'm getting rid of natural gas. I don't want it. It really is a terrible thing. We had a natural gas furnace in the office. It was a little wall unit because this house is really tiny. And it was terrible. In fact, last winter, we moved in the winter. Juan ran it just to warm up the place. And there was a little bit of a leak, the venting wasn't perfect. And we were getting headaches in here. It was noticeable. I would walk in, it was warm, but I felt horrible. This is nasty stuff. And I would love nothing more than to get rid of it. But to do so in a manner that would work, we have to have alternatives that are better. That's how we do it, right? We don't make Like, so for example, the Lightning is an amazing pickup truck. I had the shorter range version, and it didn't get the same range when it was hauling, right? And in fact, I didn't get the full range even empty. Juan and I, with no gear, we didn't get the stated EPA range. So they said we'd get 220 miles on the 230 miles on the base battery, and we got closer to 100 and 190 miles, right? So we got 30 miles less than what they told us we would with nothing in the truck. So, I mean, to me, these future pickup trucks need to care more about aerodynamics. There's no reason why it should look like it does. The Lightning is an amazing truck, and I think it's pretty dang good. But if you haul or tow stuff, it's tough. We got to find a way to get more energy in there. So the Hummer EV has a 200 kilowatt hour battery pack. That's like 3 of my cars, right? And it goes the same distance as my car. So it's a third as efficient. The Hummer is an absurd thing, but they could have put a 200 kilowatt hour battery pack in a really streamlined EV that got 600 miles of range. That way, when you tow, you get 300. That's the kind of stuff we got to start doing, right? And until there's an option for everybody, we're gonna keep seeing gas cars. I went to happy hour with one of my friends here where I live, and he mentioned that he has this big truck and he has an FJ Cruiser and he'd love to go electric, but there's nothing he can afford today that could do what his trucks do. So when any of you guys are looking to buy a new car, and if you buy a new car that's electric, you're doing 2 things. You're cleaning up the environment by you having an electric car, but you're also sending a signal to these companies. Then if Ford suddenly saw their gas pickup trucks plummet in sales and the line for the Ford Lightning continue to grow, like they had to stop taking reservations for the truck. That's how popular it was. But if that happened, Ford would go into their next shareholders meeting and go, hey, we just lost, our profits plummeted 30% because of this. How do we fix that? We need more batteries. How do you fix that? Build more battery factories. How do we fix that? Right? They would do it because that's how business works. I think, yeah, it works and it's easier in some places over others, but it's up to us. Like we all have a vote with our dollars, and that's something that I think should make us feel powerful for sure. All right, sorry, coming off my soapbox. Let's go back to. So Josh says hubby is very happy with a recent hybrid Passat. So if you're cutting your emissions by half, that's something. Yeah, use very little gas. Take a step. I mean, whatever it is. I'm not here to tell you what you should buy or not buy. I also understand that cars are very personal for people, right? There's a lot of people I see on Twitter who whenever someone shares a cool EV, like Kyle Connor I mentioned has a BMW iX. I think he put 3,000 miles on it in the last couple of weeks. And whenever he shows pictures of it, the Tesla fans, which is cool, I'm a Tesla fan myself, they'll say, just get a Model Y, just get a Model X. And you don't understand that doesn't work, right? Cars are like a personality enhancer for people, right? They're like, they're a status symbol. They're a part of who people are and their identity. So you can't just tell people buy this one model of car that comes in 4 models and 5 colors. Like that's not a world that'll work. We need people who buy Lightnings. We need to have those kinds of other things. Volkswagen fans need the ID4. I wish the ID3 came to the US. I would love it. I think the ID3, Juan would probably buy one. I think that's more the kind of shape of car he likes. The Ioniq 5 is crazy cool. Every time I see an Ioniq 5, I think, where have these kinds of awesome cars been? Why have we, it's such a refreshing design and it's just such a cool concept. So, we need to have tons of options, right? No one ever says, just buy the Ford F-150 to a Dodge Ram fan or a Silverado fan. That's blasphemy, right? That's the same thing with cars and electric cars. We can't just have 10 choices. We need to have 200 choices. And so General Motors, I think, they need to prove to me a little bit that they can deliver. There are a lot of talk at this point, but in their credit, they've shown off a Blazer EV, and now there's like a Equinox EV, I think, or Traverse, something like that. A couple different SUVs. They have the Lyriq. They're introducing new models from their different brands, different styles, different looks. that's what we need. The Silverado EV should be cool. It might get better range because I think it's a little more aerodynamic. It was rebuilt to be an EV compared to the Lightning. But we just need to have tons and tons of choices. And that's what it's going to take. Rather than convincing people to buy one model of car, which, to be fair, I will say this. I'm a proponent for all EVs. I've always tried to be. But Juan is here. Juan, how would you rate our Electrify America charging experience with the Ford Lightning? I don't know if you heard that, but it was, yeah, we had problems, right? We ran out, got burritos, ran back into the car, and I was just sitting there eating and watching the screen because I didn't trust it at all. And I was right. It stopped charging we had 3 charge sessions. We had a problem at every one of them, right? So if you drive long distances or you road trip, it is impossible not to recommend a Tesla. I really think. If you're not really a big road tripper, you just live around town, the doors are open to you, right? There's get an Ioniq 5, there's a ton of cool stuff. But if you do a lot of road tripping and you're charging out and about a lot, Tesla's supercharger network if you haven't experienced it, let's go to our poll real quick. Let's see how we did. All right, I have an EV. The results are in. About a third of you do. Pretty impressive, right? So a third of our people have EVs. The percentage in America is like 2%. So clearly you guys are more dialed in. Now the next, so Neil needs a link. Juan, could you send him a Discord link in the chat? So here's the next question. The next poll. I'm gonna close this one. Okay, the next poll is about solar, which is one of my favorite things. All right, yes and no, right? Let's ask the next question. I'm curious about this one because I have a feeling I have an idea. We had the really cool opportunity to ask our audience when we're at Fully Charged, the people in the audience, like show of hands, how many of you have an EV? How many of you? And as you can imagine, like almost everybody had EVs, almost everybody has solar. It's a really, hip and with it crowd, but our audience is very, very similar. But I fully understand the craziness of these prices, right? I was on Tesla's website thinking, oh, we'll trade in my 3 and get a Y. And I was just shaking my head at how expensive these cars have gotten. It's absolutely absurd. And, the free market in me says, hey, if people have more money to pay and they can make more money per car, it's free market. They're free to do that. So, which is great. But we have Honda Civics, right? We have cheap cars in gas form. We need that. And I do wonder how we get to a world where that's possible. Robert, you're right. That is one I should have had not yet and in progress, because that would have probably been pretty helpful. But okay, so about a third of you guys have an EV. Looks like about a quarter of you guys have solar panels. Let me ask you this then as a next question. You're here, you're on Tuba Da Vinci, right? What is it that has you excited, or what should we cover? What keeps you up at night? Like, what do you guys think about, and what kind of stuff are you guys doing? Mario, I think from Lax Lifters, says, don't forget about the Air. Are you talking about the Lucid Air? I don't know what that means. Yeah, I did hear from your friend. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. Mario's one of our viewers that I met with. I think we connected on Twitter, and I've kind of been his cheerleader to pursue a career in software, and he's been making some big strides and stuff. Mario, good to see you. So Michael says, what is your opinion on a hybrid car for now? Okay. Hybrids get a lot of hate from people. I was hearing a lot of panelists at the Fully Charged show saying the hybrids are the worst of both worlds. They have a gas engine you have to maintain, and then they have batteries and electric motors and all that complexity as well. But to that, I would say, what electric choices are there in certain markets? Like, for example, I have a Honda Pilot. It gets 17 miles a gallon. It's abysmal. It's so bad that we just try not to use it. But like for the Fully Charged show, our whole team, we went to the show, we took the Pilot. It was eight seaters, right? So we literally only use it when we need to. I think we've filled it up 5 times in the past calendar year. So like not even 2,000 miles, like 1,200 miles a year we drive it, right? We take the Tesla for everything else. We put over 20,000 miles a year on the Tesla, pure electric. So not everything is black and white. Even if you have, let's say you buy like the cheapest electric car you can buy, which, by the way, if you're looking at electric cars and thinking, how can I get a cheap one? Go test drive a Mini Cooper EV. I love that thing. That is one of the funnest cars you'll ever drive. It is cool as hell. If you like the Mini thing, they are small. And you can have one for like 30 grand before tax rebate and after the credit, like in the mid 20s, right? Honda Civic money. And it has 120 miles of range. Does that suck? Well, yeah, don't road trip with it. You'll hate yourself. But if you're just driving 30, 40 miles a day to work and back, you just plug it in every night. My Tesla, I charge every 4 days, right? You would charge this car every day. So what? Fine. Plug it in at night, get the EV plan, charge at midnight. You don't have, and then get a gas car when you need it, right? And then just try not to use it or keep your gas car and just don't use it. Not everything has to be so black and white. So I mentioned, let's say I drive 22,000 miles a year, which sounds really high. And I wonder, how is that possible? But we have kids, right? The kids have activities in school. My parents live in the Bay Area. We do travel to LA for some of the videos that we make for you guys. We do travel a lot. It is what it is. So if we travel 24,000 miles a year and 22,000 of them are pure electric Tesla miles, and in the future, I'm going to charge that car on solar, that's still a huge reduction, right? Our need for gasoline has dropped to, let's say 100 gallons a year. Now, if other people did the same sort of thing, again, signal to the oil companies, demand is bottoming out, right? So if you got a hybrid, it's totally fine. I think it could be cool because you're using half the gas, right? And you're promoting electrification in some way. A plug-in hybrid would be even cooler, but they're so expensive. Like the RAV4 plug-in hybrid is one of the most popular cars right now, and dealers are marking them up 20 grand and all kinds of stupid nonsense because of that fact. So I was waiting for this one. So Diggy Ride, I think it's what I'm pronouncing, says get rid of Bitcoin miners, will save a ton of electricity. Yeah, I don't want to get into that one. I do think there's a place for crypto, especially Bitcoin, or maybe only Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum as well. But Ethereum just moved over to proof of stake, and I think that could be a topic for another day. But you guys, we can make little strides, right? Every little bit matters. If you reduced your need for gasoline by 50%, and we all did that, it's massive. The impact of that would be massive. And that's kind of the way I look at it. So yeah, I'm not going to go buy a Model X for $120,000. I don't have that kind of money, right? I'm not going to do that. Would it be cool to get rid of the Pilot and get the Model X? Yeah, it'd be great. I can't afford it. So what do? I take the Model 3 whenever I can, and we coordinate around it. And we just have the Pilot for emergencies pretty much. And we almost never need to use it, right? We could still win that way. And for solar, for example, you don't have to get a 10 kilowatt system. My first system, the system that made this channel possible back in 2011, was 1.2 kilowatt. I paid $10,000 for it in 2011. Today, a system that tiny, I don't even know if you'd get one. Today, you can get a 3 kilowatt system for the same amount of money, for 10 grand, right? You can get a 3 kilowatt system. And a 3 kilowatt system will make a ton of electricity, cut your bills dramatically. Are you going to be net zero? Probably not, right? But you can reduce your impact dramatically and have a little resiliency. Do you have to spend a ton of money on batteries? You can get a couple of EcoFlows for, let's say, if you got 2 EcoFlows for 7 grand and a smart home panel, for 8 grand, you can have 7 kilowatt hours of battery, and then you can even feed solar into it directly off grid, no permit, right? So get used panels, get an EcoFlow. You could do stuff like that for 10 grand and have a little bit of battery resiliency. That way, if the power goes out, your refrigerators can run all night until the power comes back, or you can save money. There's things that we can do. And I'm going to obsess about that going forward. I don't cover EVs very much anymore. I just, whenever I get excited, like I might do a video on Canoe. The Canoe is super cool. I'd buy one. They're like 40 grand, a great price. They're not ready to ship to customers yet. But I've met with them twice now. I've told them, I will buy that truck in front of me right now. I'll buy it right now. They're just not ready yet. But I would love to do like an RV conversion or something like that. It would be so cool. So we don't cover EVs a whole lot because I don't know how can I help? How am I going to get you guys a cheap EV? I have no idea. But I'm more focused on solar because I do believe with the right partnerships and the right ideas, we could bring that down. And a net zero house is very, very important, I think. So we'll learn the lessons the hard way and we'll share it with you. But I do think I can help you with that. And that's what I'm going to lean on. All right. Michael says, thank you for the response. I totally agree. Yeah, Michael, what hybrid are you thinking about? I'll give you an example of a hybrid I've looked at, and I hate to admit it because it's not electric, but is the Toyota Highlander hybrid. So 30 miles a gallon instead of 17. So that means if I burn 100 gallons today, that'd be 50 gallons, right? That's some savings. And it has a third row. I need a third row. We have a family. When people come into town, that's just a need that we have. And it is very difficult with EVs. That's why I was so excited by VinFast. The VF8, it's fine. There's other cars like it. Like the ID4 to me is similar. But the VF9 is a game changer. It is a third row EV. I've been in the back seat of one. Very roomy. It actually could work for us. And for 55 grand, that's not, I mean, a brand new Highlander is 40, a hybrid Highlander is 47 or something. And if they had a plug-in version, it'd probably be around there too. So the price is killer. And the Toyota Auris, okay. Michael, where are you? I don't think that's an American model, but very cool. Yeah. Scott Storm Carter says an electric RV would be interesting. Oh my gosh, Scott, I'm on Craigslist shopping for old RVs all the time because I have the secret dream to convert one to pure electric, cover the top in solar panels, like every inch of it in solar panels, massive, most efficient panels I could get, and then get some sort of batteries and figure out how much I could go in a day and do a whole trip about it. If you guys would watch those videos, because that'll be really expensive, but if maybe we could figure out to get a sponsor for the whole show or something, I would love to do that. And Juan wants to convert an electric car. Juan wants to convert an old car to electric. So that is one way we could save you money and cover that and share, how easy is it to do for an average person? Maybe 2023, because we have a lot of home stuff between now and then. Sometimes as a business person, the key is learning to say no. We just have to, we say no to a lot of stuff that we could do because we're trying to keep the focus. But Michael's in Holland. Oh, that sounds amazing. We were just looking to come out there recently. I don't think it's going to happen next year. Maybe next year. We'll see. But very cool. Holland is way ahead when it comes to some of this stuff. A lot more bicycling and stuff. So Guillot says you can get a 5 kilowatt system for $10K. How cool would that be? So I would say if you have $10,000 burning a hole in your pocket, there is nothing you can do better than getting a 5 kilowatt solar system. Do that. That would be my recommendation. And if that's too much, work up to it. My strategy has always been I use my tax credit money for cool stuff. So I used 2 years of tax returns. I saved that money and I added to my solar system in my previous house. And then 2 years after that, I saved my tax returns for 2 years, 1 year, and I got a power wall, right? I mean, you can roll this stuff in, and sometimes it just comes down to being clever about it. Claudia, my wife, is here. She says, yes, he is looking for RVs every day. Oh, I thought she was gonna say something nice about me, but yeah, she just confirmed that I'm always on Craigslist. I'm telling you, I get excited about getting a 20-footer, not a crazy big one, because they're just so hard to drive around, and converting it, covering it in solar panels, and seeing how much I could produce. And if I traveled 50 miles an hour, how much? I think it'd be so much fun to do. Anyway, Digiride says, LMAO, learning to say no, biggest lesson of my life. Me too. I'm a very optimistic person. Somebody else mentioned that, right? I'm a crazy optimist. The other reason why I don't do a lot of car reviews is I'm not a nitpicker. I don't complain. I just love stuff. If I see a car that's like, the infotainment's not the best, so what? If it's good at everything else, I don't care. I'm I'm not a nitpicker. I'm an optimist, which makes me probably not the best car reviewer. But when it comes to optimism, whenever I hear something, I go, yeah, let's do it. But now, trying to balance the checkbook, I've learned, yeah, you got to say no. EV conversion one, maybe next year. If we got to find the right partner to help us, I think with that, I would do it. Also, the right car. At the end of it, I'd want a car that I would just want to drive around in all the time, right? All right, so 100 of you guys are still on. I appreciate all of you. Hopefully, it's been as much fun for all of you. Let's see if there's any other. Lax Lifter says an EV taco truck. Oh,
Yes.
Claudia, if you're there, we met somebody at Fully Charged. Did I tell you about this? We met somebody at Fully Charged who, so the drivetrain, the engine to move around is still gasoline, but he has ripped out the generators. And so when he gets to his destination, it's all electric. There's solar panels on top, battery storage. And it's a guy here in San Diego that does, it's called Thai Burger, I think. So it's like a Thailand themed burger. That sounds good, right? Yeah. Juan's eyes just got really big. And he wanted us to do a video about him. So I'm not sure when, but Thai Burger. That's right. So I have his card or his information. Claudia, I think we're connected on Instagram. We'll do an episode out there and talk about that. Because these food trucks, they drive like 10 miles maybe, and they'll be parked for 8 hours running a gas generator. So, I mean, the impact of going battery and solar is massive. And that's the thing is, when I first heard, it still has a gas engine. Like, okay, yeah, but this is still a huge story because getting around is not the big part of it. And there's still a ton of value in that. So that is coming. How funny that somebody mentioned that, the taco truck. Yeah. So Sally Baba says, I wonder how much power a food truck consumes in a day. Powerwall on a truck. The real problem is the cooktops are energy hogs and they're cooking constantly. It's tough, man. It really is. This is not an easy problem to solve. And I realized this during the heat wave. So before the heat wave, our office was net zero. We had no grid usage, for like a month. No problem. But during that heat wave, when you guys were in here and the AC, the window AC was on, pulling 1,200 watts all day, we were pulling from the grid in the night. The battery would run down. We didn't make enough power. And it shows you like, this is a hard problem, right? That shouldn't scare us. That just means it's worth doing. Like if this was easy, we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have a YouTube channel. We would just have done it. So part of what I always think about is, going net zero or moving to renewable sources of energy is not going to be easy. And some of the people who, talk smack about sustainability aren't wrong. They make good points. There are some challenges that are legit. What happens when the sun goes down? Well, we need a ton of battery storage. How are you going to make all that battery storage? It can't be lithium based. I just don't think there's enough of it. But we have other things we've covered. One of the videos that we have coming up is a carbon dioxide battery. This is a video and it's just kind of a quirky thing, but imagine if carbon dioxide wasn't the bad guy in the story, but suddenly a form of energy storage. So there's a ton of things we can do, but it's going to be hard. And I think that's the taco truck, the nuts and bolts of having solar on top of your truck and a cooktop, even if you have like an induction cooktop and it's electric, it'll be pulling 1,500 watts continuously, and producing 1,500 watts of solar is possible with a truck big enough. But there's other systems, and you're not banking any of it when the sun goes down. What do you do? It's a challenge. It's a tough problem. But hopefully progress happens. That's how it goes. And the more interest we show as consumers in segments, that's where people will invest, right? General Motors is building battery factories. They have an entire Ultium platform, which is starting to sound like, okay, yeah, they're cooking. They're making some moves. Ford is planning an entire battery factory for their Lightnings and all their other electrification efforts. And they are really grabbing the dealership by the scruff of the neck and telling them, no more price gouging. If you want to sell EVs, you sell them direct like we want, or you don't get to do it. So people are starting to get the message. It's happening, which is cool. Beetles are easy EV conversions because they're rear engine, rear drive, so there's very little in the way of like transmissions or anything else. You can just do a little direct bolt-on replacement. And they're also very old, so there's not a lot of computer ECU controls to overcome. So that's why bugs are so popular. I'm not a huge bug fan. I would say at the end of this, I want to drive around in it, right? So what I would love is like a '90s Japanese sports car. That's what I want. I loved some of those cars. Like take some old thing that's been beat up and not running and convert it. Because at the end of it, I want to enjoy it. And I'm not really a Beetle guy. That's just not my vibe. Cool for people who've done it. I know they're cool, but maybe not for me.
There's a really cool Beetle RV thing that is really old, but it just sticks to the middle of the Beetle,
Mm-hmm.
and you could just do 180s on it.
Interesting. Okay. The Beetle is one of those. It's like the Oh, show it. Play on the screen.
But
So the Beetle is kind of like the Raspberry Pi, right? It is like a playground upon which you can kind of do anything. So Juan's pulling up a video here in a second where he's showing this crazy concept of what you could do with a Beetle. I don't know. Who would have thunk it, right? Well, this is from back in the day too.
oh yeah,
But I mean, clearly there's some aerodynamic consideration here, and a tow hitch in the top of the truck. Why do I feel like that would just crush it? But that's how. Wow, a ski rack, fifth wheel hitch. That's funny. Oh, I can turn all the way around too. Okay, that is pretty cool. And if that it can go all the way around.
all the way around.
Okay, I would do this. Cover the entire trailer in solar. Put some EcoFlows in the trailer or something like that to help with range. Make it electric. Not a ton of room, but one person can sleep up on top there, and a little room in the bottom. Wow. Okay, Juan, you've made a believer out of me. That's pretty freaking cool. He's driving. How funny is that? Wow. Okay, that is pretty cool. I stand corrected. I think you were. I think you're right. Robert says, "Love your work. Thank you." Acton, he says, "Love your work. Thank you?" Question mark. I was feeling so good about that comment, and then the question mark came along. No, I think I know what you're saying. I appreciate you, man. Thank you, Robert. You guys have no idea how important you are to this thing. We aren't a thing. We don't exist without all of you. You guys have a ton of options of things to watch, and when I say 3 million people watched me, I think about that every day. It's like, we got to do better. We got to get better. We have to read every comment. We have to respond to every comment. We have to try to take it all in, do better, and make better quality videos and stuff. So it's you guys that keeps that going. The turning radius, Digi Ride says, that is absurd. What a design. But that's not, you can't just buy that, can you? Yeah.
Probably not anymore.
Yeah. Gia says Beetles are, I think he means death traps. Yeah, it's hard to, they're old cars. I mean, the safety standards have come a long way since then, but yeah, they're kind of, it's probably fair. And Mario says that needs to come back. I agree. If anyone has ever seen that on the road, or send me a Craigslist link, let's go. Let's do this. We could get a bug. We could do that. Solar on top, and just drive as far as we can. We can do this show from the road. Why don't we? We should have done it before Remy turned 5 and went to kindergarten. My oldest son is in kindergarten now, so that's a little bit trickier to pull off. But so Ed says, why isn't the government stressing a move from lithium? So you guys, we were just talking about how optimistic I am. Well, I'm not entirely optimistic. So when it comes to the government doesn't have a clue, is the short answer. That's why we shouldn't lean on them. Really brilliant people don't work for governments. It doesn't pay. You'd make much more money working at Tesla, right? Getting stock options and stuff. So I just don't think they have a clue what's going on. And you shouldn't rely on them for any of this. I think it'll come down to the consumer and the market, right? If we keep buying, so there's some exceptions to that don't make sense to me, like the Tesla Powerwall. Tesla, why are you not using lithium iron phosphate in your Powerwalls? It's absurd to me what they're doing. Every 5.5 Powerwalls is another Model Y, which is a much better use for that battery tech than for stationary storage. we need to, think better about how we manage all this stuff, but really it won't come from governments because governments aren't really involved in that part of it, right? This is a supply chain problem. And so if, Tesla's building lithium mines and things, it's because supply chains are a problem. So the answer there would just have to be better options for companies making products in different form factors. Um, there was a hydrogen battery. I forget the name of it. There's a red flow, like a flow battery that you can buy, like a consumer product. Maybe I need to get some of that stuff and see how it works out, or maybe revisit some of the companies I've talked about in the past and see if they'll have us for an on-site and share some of that stuff. But yeah, it's a tough problem. But I don't have a lot of I don't have a lot of confidence in the government solving any of it, unfortunately. You when I see some of these tweets and stuff, it just feels like, man, like what's your motivation here? It doesn't feel organic. It just feels random. Yeah. Anyway, Salih Baba says it looks like when Jeremy Clarkson did a Top Gear challenge and effectively built a condo on top of an old Citroen. Do you remember that episode one? He built that stand up. They were all building RVs. Anyway, I'm a huge Top Gear fan. Maybe that's not popular. Those guys are goofballs. You don't have to agree with every opinion people have, but I've always loved those three. I think they're just a good time. Sad that they're not doing anything with electric vehicles and stuff, but that's their prerogative. It's up to them. So the government do not understand. How do you get that with the Danish energy island? Oh, he's calling me out. So Stefan, good point. I will say different governments get it to different levels. In the U.S., we are the world's largest economy, right? So there's a lot of money flowing. And one of our great things that we do is we have a lot of lobbying interests. So one of the first things you do when you have money, you spend money to get government officials to say what you want. Like Joe Biden doesn't mention Tesla. He's talking about, Mary Barra being this great hero. It's like they sold like 100 cars, 100 EVs last month, while Tesla's going to make $1 million this year, right? That is because Tesla doesn't have unions, and General Motors does. And Joe Biden's largest supporting group typically is, for the Democrats, typically is teachers unions and auto worker unions. And I don't want to get into like the pros and cons of unions, but what I'm saying is that's the problem here in the U.S. is it's very hard to know who's funding what, and it's just too easy to kind of screw up. So I would say the Danish government is a lot hipper with it. Most of Europe typically is. I mean, look at Norway and Sweden. They have 50% EVs, like new car sales are 50% in Norway. It's absurd, right? They've clearly done things differently. Our challenges are bigger in the U.S. too. California is bigger than most European countries, right? I joked with Andy and Jack when they were here from the Fully Charged team. You can drive, 14 hours and still be in California. So our distances are bigger. That puts a little more strain on things. We love pickup trucks, which is a cultural thing. It all makes it more difficult. So yeah, please don't take it to mean that I like hate government or something. I think government is very important. It's a very important part of it's what keeps civilization humming along. But when it comes to being really forward thinking, that's just not going to happen. And I don't want to speak for everybody, but in the U.S. at least, I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah. Denmark Energy Island. I love it. So Stefan not only is on a live chat with us, he's watching the videos and he knows and I love it, man. I love it. I love a good conversation. I wish we could all hang out in person at a pub and grab a beer or something. That would be amazing. Maybe we should do a show. Tuba Da Vinci Live. Where would you have it? San Diego? I want to travel. I don't want to have it here. We'll have it somewhere cool. Somewhere in, I don't know. All right, so the last poll we ran, I think we'll end this one. I have solar was a third. So a third of our viewers have solar. A third of our viewers have EVs. Interesting. Very interesting. That's pretty good. Definitely higher than other parts of the world. So Digiride says, I loved California when I lived in Monterey and Merced. Both really cool places. If you haven't been to San Diego, definitely come on to San Diego. San Diego is just the jewel of California, in my opinion, anyway. Israel is here. So Israel just joined the live stream. I mentioned earlier that in the effort, in the initiative of always improving, just improving everything, we reached a point where I was thinking to myself, like, I want deeper and deeper science in our topics. Because for me, what I found was, depending on the video, you guys will probably notice some of the videos are way deeper. They're really nuanced, and others are more topical. It comes down to this. What happens is, I'm on travel this week, so I only have 30 minutes. So I look at the script and okay, it's fine. Another week I have 3 days, and I spend 3 days adding context and science to the videos, and then they typically do better. So I just need help with research and writing, and that's why Israel is here. So Israel is our newest team member, and he'll be helping us with research and writing, and you're going to see his videos in 2 weeks' time. I think his videos will start in about 2 weeks. And we're super excited, Israel, to have you on. Happy to give you a shout out here. But research and writing is the whole thing. Video editing is 30% of it or so. But like if your script doesn't have great insight, I just don't. I personally don't even enjoy it. So I wouldn't even want or think how you guys feel about it. But I want our videos to be like 15 minutes of your week to learn about some new thing and to put it into perspective. Like, let us tell you why it matters and the scale of it, the scope of it. How far along are they? Should you be excited or not? I want to be that person. So we take that responsibility seriously, and we spend a ton of time thinking about topics and things for you guys. So please keep it up. So Robert, to that point, Robert says the polls are a good idea to keep the audience engagement high. I agree with you. Definitely, we should do that more. Let's see another question I should have. What have I always wondered about all of you guys? Do you have a topic idea? Poll question? Okay. So Israel says, me too. Can't begin to tell you guys what it's like working with Ricky. This team is awesome. Thank you, Israel. Appreciate that. It is a lot of fun. It's a lot of stress too. I'll tell you guys one thing about being a YouTuber that is, I heard this stat recently that for kids, like 5 to 10-year-old kids, the number one, what I want to do when I grow up is YouTuber. Now, I don't think they mean me kind of YouTuber. I think they mean like, hey, I play with toys, give me money, right? Or I prank my friends and stuff. Anyway, we don't do that kind of content. We never will. But what you don't realize is how much work goes into it. We publish videos on Thursday. So I used to think Thursday, let's go hang out, let's have a fun day. But during our last couple of months, when we're seeing a lot better growth, one thing that I've started to do is obsess about titles and thumbnails. So Thursday used to be kind of my day off. Like, let me take one day to unwind. We just published a video. Now let's just hang out. But we don't anymore. And the reason why is now I sit there and refresh YouTube analytics and I'm watching the click-through rate. How many of you guys, when presented with our thumbnail and title, are clicking on it? Our retention has always been pretty good. So when people click, our thumbs up ratio is high and our retention is high, right? So that's not a problem, but we've sucked at titles and thumbnails. So now my Thursday, I'm sitting there refreshing it and trying to figure out, okay, how is this one doing? It's tapering off way too quick. It's not looking good. And I'll open my laptop and I'll come up with another concept, another title, try to do something to stir excitement, right? So that's Thursday, the day we publish. And then Friday, it's like back to work. What's our video? I got to go record it. We got to go get audio. We have to figure out the ad spot. It is tough. We were supposed to do a team retreat, but you guys seem less keen on it than me. I keep talking about going to Vegas and stuff, and you guys don't. I know we can do something, even if it's local. We can go down to the beach. We can go get seafood or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I need a little bit of I need to take some time and appreciate the team, because at this point we could not do this without a team. There was a time when I was younger, when Tubi DaVinci first started, I would be up until 2 a.m. most days editing videos, and I published every other week. So after my day job, staying up until 2 in the morning, every other week I could make a video. And sometimes I couldn't. Sometimes I needed 3 weeks, right? Now, like clockwork, we're making videos on Thursdays. I sleep 8 hours a night most nights. My youngest son is sick right now, so my wife and I are a little bit tired. But But I sleep, and it's all because of the team. But the YouTube grind is real. Like it's a lot of work. Philip says, "Do you miss your day job?" Um, so I used to be a software engineer, which was it's a really high paying job. That's what I told Mario. And any of you guys that are young or looking for like career advice and stuff, email me anytime. I take great pride in this, but software is an amazing job. I was never stressed. I worked 40 hours a week. We made great money. It was great. The problem is fulfilling and rewarding work. It got boring after a while. Some boss telling you another feature to implement. What was so amazing about it was a challenge. It was so hard. And then when it got easier and I got better at it, the challenge started to fade, and then the repetition of it all kicked in. I'm not a creature of habit. I'm a crazy person who likes crazy different challenges all the time. So on Tuba DaVinci, every week is a new thing. It's a new topic, new graphics to try to make, new challenges that we can't figure out. It's just fun. We're never bored, but it is way more stressful because I don't have, like before I worked at Salesforce, Mark Benioff paid my paycheck no matter what. I didn't have to worry. I could take a month off for paternity leave and be fine. But now it's up to us. There's a team of 5 of us, right? Israel's our newest member. Like that's the team. If we don't do it, nobody else will, right? If Israel or I don't write, there's no video. If Juan and Ale and Brim don't edit, there's no video. Like we all have to deliver. So there's a lot of coordination and stuff that goes into it. So Mario, the guy I was telling you before, he says, you wouldn't believe how many 60-year-olds are at boot camp. I love it. I love it. Change is hard for people. And I've often wondered, what are people going to do when there's no more Jiffy Lube down the street? I've done zero maintenance to my Tesla in 56,000 miles, none. So in the future, you're not going to have little Jiffy Lubes and guys, mechanics, those kinds of jobs might be gone. And I urge all of you guys not to think about the future and be scared, but instead embrace it, understand where the world is going, and try to get a piece of the pie for yourself. That's what I've always I've thought. I remember watching YouTube one day in 2015 and thinking, these guys make YouTube videos and get paid for it? That sounds cool. I want to try that. That's how I just started trying it, right? I remember my brother graduated from college 10 years ago, and he was telling me about the salaries software engineers are making. And I was thinking, that's crazy. Like it'll take me 30 years to make that much as a mechanical engineer. And I made the switch. I taught myself software. Don't be afraid. Like whatever we do today is just what we do today. I always tell my team, I don't care where we are right now. If this week's video, Juan, have you thought about the Denmark video? No, we published it. It's done. We're looking forward. But so that video is done, whatever video we're working on. But what really matters is progress. This is what I obsess about. Probably too much. Like if I'm not progressing in something, I feel bad usually. So I'm happiest when it's like, our house, we just added solar panels. Even if it's like I wash my car or I mow the lawn, that's progress. It's something, right? It feels like you're being productive. But for our team, we strive to be better. Just get better. Learn something new. Fun fact, even Juan, none of our video editors were editors before this. We've trained them. Like we've been working together and they've been growing. I just found great dudes and dudettes, people who had good skills, good personalities, people I wanted to be around. And we've trained. It's taken years, right? This whole company is like 2 years in the making at this point, but we're so proud of all of that. So all of you guys, whatever it is you're doing, maybe if you guys have amazing, lucrative careers, great. If you're struggling or kind of, a little lost in the sauce, like email me anytime. I'd love to chat with all of you, but the future is going to be a little wild and crazy, but don't look at it with fear or trying to hold the world back. It just won't work. You can't hold back change. You can't do it. Anybody who's trying to, poo-poo on EVs, you can do it all you want. It's not going to work. In 10, 20 years, it won't be a question. Progress is like that. So when it comes to careers and opportunities, depending on where you live, I always say, like, I live in the US, like the opportunity is everywhere, right? You just have to have you got to be a little bit crazy to go ask, right? Fun story about the Ford Lightning trip to Arizona we did. So when the Solar Steels, the company that sells used panels, which we'll talk about in the future when we have our affiliate link and the 5% discount ready, They told us, Ricky, we're really excited. Could you pick the panels up? Freight shipping prices were kind of high. They're small, they're a smaller company. I was like, yeah, no problem. So I went on Avis or the car rental websites and I'm looking for a pickup truck. And my wife, Claudia, goes, email Ford, tell them to drop off at Lightning. And I was thinking, right. We have friends at Ford. It's not crazy for them. They literally have cars for us to do stuff like this, to learn from it and to share the results with you, right? But that's what I mean by be a little crazy. Just go after what you want, like that thought never crossed my mind. Even with being invited to Ford events and all this stuff, somebody mentioned I'm an influencer. I'm finally accepting that, right? I'm leaning into it. It's like, yeah, I guess I am, right? But even with all that, it didn't even cross my mind to ask Ford, hey, let me borrow Lightning for 2 days. It's no hair off their back. They literally do this. And that just kind of goes to show you like what you can do if you just knock on doors, make a phone call. It's like, hey, I love what you do. I'd love to work for free. Could I get a job? Andy told me the story. Andy from Fully Charged. I don't know if he's still on. He's probably gone to bed. But that's how he started Fully Charged. He loved Fully Charged. He loved the team, loved Robert Llewellyn, walked over there and said, hey, can I do video? I'll do camera work for you for free. I can make better videos than what you're making now. I'll work for free. That's how he started, because Fully Charged was a small little team. But then he comes on, the video quality skyrockets, right? Then they start making money. They start paying Andy, and Andy is a full-time instrumental part of that team. So yeah, this is something I'm going to try to lean much more into, is all the kind of philosophical stuff. But yeah, be a little wild, be a little crazy. Don't feel boxed in. Like, the world is bigger than you know. It really is. And this is the kind of excitement, this is the kind of worldview that I have that gives me optimism for the future. Because I think you're going to be surprised in a couple of years just how much progress we're going to make. Philip, I feel like now that I'm being a little more open and sharing stuff with you guys are asking questions. Philip says, do you get sponsors contacting you daily? Yes, I do. We get sponsor emails multiple times a day. And I think we say no. I've been kind of keeping track of this. I'd say we say no to 3 or 4 out of 5. Either it's just not a good fit or it feels kind of random. We try to promote stuff we love. Like, let's go back to our history, right? We made a video about the 8 Sleep mattress. It's this really cool mattress topper system that has a heat pump, water cooling approach that the 2 sides of the bed you can set to your own temperature. This thing is like my favorite thing now, because in the very hot heat wave period, I had my bed set to very cool. And so now you're laying on the bed and the bed is like sucking the heat out of your body. You're not tossing and turning, trying to find a cool spot. Amazing, amazing product. Really, I use it every day. And I wonder now, if I go on travel and I sleep in a hotel room that doesn't have it, I'm going to probably be bothered and I'd be rolling around a lot more. Tractions. Anyway, really cool product, right? Love it. Factor is a meal service we did a video on last week, was it? Yep. Last week's video is Factor. I cannot tell you how big a fan I am. I'm basically telling my wife, let's just get like 100 Factor meals a month. And she's thinking, no, we can cook. I was like, but the thing is, with children and this YouTube thing and a team and management, my time is like the resource you have to manage. And so for me, food prep is a huge nightmare, because my wife does a lot of the food prep and I love her for this. But we do dishes, dishes and cleaning up afterward and all the cooking. It's hours of our day. And I always tell my wife, like, hours of our day we could spend researching the next topic, right? Claudia is responsible for a lot of the great ideas of the topics that we cover. And as a result, we get eyeballs and all that. So yeah, I like to cover the ones that really make sense for our viewers. And I don't share a lot of the stuff that doesn't. So yeah, a lot of the sponsors don't work out. Also, we email a lot of people trying to go, hey, do you want to sponsor something? We think our audience would love you and we need a sponsor anyway. And sometimes that works out too. A lot of times it does. Yeah. Time is the most valuable resource. Absolutely. We don't we'll do the grocery delivery, because if you have the people who have children, especially if you have 2 of them, and if I'm in a meeting, my wife will have to take them or vice versa. Taking kids and going grocery shopping, first of all, it'll exhaust you. You're not going to come home feeling refreshed and ready to work. Second, it can take hours of your day. if for a 20% markup or 15% markup, you can have the groceries delivered to your door, to my mind, you just won 2 hours of time. And if you can make more money in those 2 hours than you saved with the delivery fees, there you go. There's 2 hours, right? If you break life down this way, there's quite a bit of time we can save doing things that we don't love. Like, unless you love grocery shopping, it's your favorite thing. Automate it out, right? So Michael says, I love the Lomi composter. So I've been thinking about doing a video about this because there's a lot of questions about the Lomi composter. I'm with you. It energy for time, right? It uses a little bit of energy, but it reduces the composting time by like 80%. Really cool product. We use it all the time. What we need to do is make more compost so our lawn is kind of dying in areas and it needs compost. So one of my friends was telling me. Anyway, this is good. We've been rambling for almost 2 hours now, and I've been waiting for people to fall off so I can end the stream, but every time I start thinking I'll shut up, it's nearing 100 again. You guys, I love you guys. I really do. I really appreciate you guys coming out here. I felt very special, very lucky, very blessed at Fully Charged. People coming up to me and saying, I watch all your videos and X, Y, and Z. Far better than we deserve. We appreciate you. Know that we take it serious, and we'll keep delivering on better and better stuff for all of you. Robert says 10% markup. Here you can pay $120 per year for unlimited deliveries. I think Walmart is moving to that model. Part of why they're partnering with Canoe and these kinds of companies is to do just that. So Amazon is kind of ahead, but Walmart's secret ingredient is having a store within 10 miles of 90% of Americans, which is a huge value if they can deliver on that. So yeah, take the stuff you don't like, automate it out, and find ways to make money in that time. One of the best things you can do is start whatever you want to do with a side hustle, right? If you want to make videos about whatever, do a course. What are you guys really good at? Like, I thought about doing an Apple Motion tutorial series, or how to run a YouTube channel, or what not to do. That's part of what I should do, is how to be bad at YouTube for a very long time. I could teach that class. I can give diplomas in that class, but make online courses and sell them. One of our friends that lives nearby, Ben Sullins, who has his own YouTube channel, he actually doesn't make most of his money from YouTube. He has courses. He's a really smart data scientist. He put together some online courses and sells them. And people who buy these courses learn data science and go on to get jobs in it. I mean, it's an incredible value add there. So find the thing that you do, master it, learn it, and find funner and cooler ways to capitalize on it. And one of the things I've also liked to do, David Holmes says, Marie Kondo your time. Yeah, declutter your time. Yeah. We don't think about it. We think the sun just keeps rising and falling, and the day tomorrow will come. But yeah, time is precious, man. My oldest kid is 5 years old. I couldn't tell you where the time has gone. DJ Ride says, personal question. I love it. Here we go. I should have pre-read it before I read it, but here we go. How do you fit your spouse into your crazy life? That is a great question. It's very hard. The kids actually are a big part of that too. So we did a week in Vietnam for VinFast to cover them a little. So my wife and I went on that together. So I think part of what we need to do maybe is drop the kids off with the grandparents in the Bay Area and do more of these kinds of trips. And maybe we can make them business things where we do videos together. But she was incredibly amazing. She did all the camera work for the Vietnam videos. She did all the social media stuff. It is very tough. It's a balancing act, and you have to find, there's no easy answer for that. I think maybe just set like little traditions and stuff. We do a watching party for Lord of the Rings. By the way, how amazing is the Rings of Power? Yeah. I'm a huge Tolkien fan. And so we watch that with our friends and stuff. You just got to find time, right? It's a balancing act. Agar says, I essentially built my own house. That's amazing. Because the projects we looked at were lame. Some floor plans wise, roofing not suited for our rain. So basically, Agar's looked at like a model house that he could buy and didn't like anything about it, right? So to the roof point, he probably had an asphalt shingle roof, and you don't want to get rain capture off of that. All the toxic petroleum products and stuff. did not the floor plans or the installation levels and built it himself. That's amazing. So Matt Farrell, one of my very best friends on Undecided, is doing that. He's building a house from scratch that will be net zero passive. It's actually a manufactured home as well. It's being like built and shipped. So that's really exciting. You should definitely go check out his channel and follow along there. And then for the rest of you guys that have an old house like I do that you're gonna retrofit, I'll cover that stuff. So between the two of us, we should have a ton of content in the future. Let me just really quickly, because this really is important to me, plug Nvidia one more time. We have a link in the description. Nvidia's Nvidia short. Oh, it was a link to the short I made for Nvidia, right? But the pinned comment here, the genie.us/Nvidia link, is for the live show. It's a watch party that me and Matt and Alex are doing. We think it'll be a ton of fun, and we really hope you guys will come, because I think if none of you guys show up, NVIDIA's gonna be like, all right, well, forget you guys. We'll find other people to do this. And I'd hate that, because NVIDIA's already been kind enough to do 2 interviews with us. And as I look into our future backlog of videos, I'm thinking, I'd like to talk to somebody at NVIDIA for a lot of them. And I just generally, I'm a huge NVIDIA nerd. I love the company. They make some of the most amazing stuff. They really do. And they got their hands on all kinds of stuff that might surprise you. And when you think NVIDIA, you're thinking gaming, right? Which is exactly why they're doing this. And they wanted me and Matt to do this live stream, because not many people know how much they're doing in the world of sustainable energy. We did a video a couple weeks back on wind turbines and how NVIDIA helps model and predict how they should place offshore wind to optimize production. A process that would have been incredibly time consuming to compute the computational fluid dynamics coming off of every turbine in the vortices to figure out how to place these things. So they do incredibly cool stuff, and we want to share that with you. So come join us for that. That'll be the next time Tuesday, Ford F-150 Lightning hauling test, plus a little look at solar steels and how you can get 50% off your solar panels. If that's interesting for the DIY folks, I think it'll be killer. I have 29 of them now that I just purchased. We have them here. That's on Tuesday. Yeah. I'm thinking we just stick with the polyjoule battery one for Thursday. And then, so Thursday, our video will go out as normal. And also at 10 a.m. Pacific time, I believe, is the NVIDIA event. The link, it's not on YouTube. It's, we'll have it up in the description there. And we hope you guys can attend, and we'll hang out. We'll hang out there. Thank you all for joining. And Michael says Tolkien ruled and still rules. Love Lord of the Rings. Yeah. And the Rings of Power on Amazon, if you guys haven't watched it, is fantastic. I think it's actually vastly better than House of the Dragon at this point. Anyway, we'll see if that turns around. But right now, House of the Dragon just feels like a very let's lean on all the Game of Thrones stuff we had in the past with brothels and stuff. It doesn't feel as inspired so far. Lord of the Rings the Rings of Power is fantastic. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up here and go get some lunch because I'm starving. Thank you all of you guys for joining me for this live stream, and we're gonna try to do this every week, as you guys know. And a lot of home stuff coming up. It's gonna be a really busy time. One, I hope you got your rest because you're gonna be working a lot, and so am I. We're gonna make some awesome stuff, tons of stuff with solar and everything else coming up. So that is going to be a look at the week coming up. See you next week.